Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. My name is Modulus, and in this video we'll focus on control flow and conditionals in Python. We'll cover if statements, else and elif statements, and conditional expressions. So let's get started. Let's begin with if statements. If statements are used to execute a block of code only if a certain condition is true. Here's the basic syntax. You can see that we have the if keyword followed by a condition, and if the condition is true, anything under the if statement will be run. Here is another example of if statements. We see that we're creating a variable named x with the value of 5. And then we're using the if keyword to check if x, which in this case is 5, is greater than 0. Because 5 is indeed greater than 0, we are going to get the x is positive print statement in the output. Sometimes we want to execute different blocks of code depending on different conditions. That's where the else and elif statements come into play. The else statement is used to specify a block of code to be executed if the condition in the if statement is false. Here's the syntax. We are using an if statement to check if a condition is true. If it is, the code underneath the if statement will be run. But if the condition is not true, we can use the else keyword to run the code that is under the else statement. Here's another example of an if-else statement. We are creating a variable named x with the value of -2. We are using the if keyword to check if x is greater than 0. X in this case is -2, so it is not greater than 0. So the code inside of the if statement will not be printed, which is x is positive. Instead, the code under the else statement will be printed, which is x is not positive. The elif statement stands for else if and is used to specify additional conditions to be checked. Here's the syntax. Here is an example of an if, elif, and else statement. We are using the if keyword to check if condition 1 is true. If condition 1 is not true, then we go into the elif statement, which checks if condition 2 is true. If condition 2 is true, the code under the elif statement will be run. If it's not true, then the code inside of the else statement will be run. Note that you can add as many elif statements as you want to code. Here is a fully working if, elif, and else statement. We are creating the x variable with the value of 10. First, we're checking if x is less than 0. Because 10 is not less than 0, the print statement x is negative will not be printed. Next, we're using the elif keyword to check if x is equal to 0. 10 is not equal to 0, so the print statement x is 0 will not be printed. Because x is not less than 0 nor x is equal to 0, the else statement, which says x is positive, will be printed. Python also allows for the use of conditional expressions, also known as the ternary operator. It provides a concise way to write if-else statements in a single line. The syntax of a conditional expression is as follows. This is the syntax of the conditional expression in Python. We can see that if the condition is true, the value for it goes in front of the if statement, and the rest follows as normal. This statement right here is the same as this. If condition, which is moved to right here, and then value if true, which is the most complicated one, which is moved to the first part of the conditional statement, and then the else value if false just goes in one line right here. Here's an example of a working conditional expression in Python. We're creating a variable named x and setting the value to it of 5. And then we're creating a variable called result. Now the result value is determined if x is greater than 0. If x is greater than 0, then x is positive is going to be the value for result. Else, if it's less than 0, then the value for result is going to be x is non-positive. Note that you cannot add elif statements to a conditional expression. If you want to, I highly recommend just using an if, elif, else block. That's it. In this video, we explored control flow and conditionals in Python. We learned about if statements to execute code based on a condition, else and elif statements to handle different cases, and conditional expressions for concise if-else statements. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the Modulus YouTube channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!